And now to tell us more about Stan, I'd like to call on Andrew, his son.
Today, we gather with full hearts to honor a remarkable man, Stan Klopak. Before I go further, I should say that I am Andrew Klopak, and I am the youngest of Stan and Irene's 5 boys. And it truly is my honor to speak on behalf of our whole family. But before I go on, my dad wants you to know that it's okay to be sad, it's okay to cry, but it's also okay to be happy, okay to laugh, and okay to smile. When we think about our dad, we think of quiet strength, faith, and hands that could build anything, including family. Stan was a husband, father, grandpa, great-grandfather, uncle, and friend. And he filled each of those roles with love, humor, patience, and quiet strength. So many memories were created because of this caring man, and those memories will live with us forever. Stan was also a very deeply spiritual man. He carried a strong belief in God and in Jesus, and he lived his life with a steady awareness of God's presence guiding him. He came to know in his heart who God was once he surrendered his life to God's care. He and Mom would quietly sit in the evenings and talk with God, sharing their thoughts, worries, gratitude, and hopes. He also saw God in the world around him, in nature and the outdoors, on the water and under the wide sky. His faith grounded him, shaped his values, and showed through in the way he treated others, with kindness, humility, forgiveness, and love. This past Christmas Eve, I spent time with Mom and Dad. Together they told me, gently and peacefully, that he was ready to be with Jesus. And in God's loving timing, Dad left us on Christmas Day, Jesus' birthday. We take comfort in knowing he felt ready and that he went with faith and peace in his heart. Stan was, at the core, a simple, genuine, and humble man. He didn't need the spotlight. He didn't look for attention. He believed in working hard, telling the truth, helping neighbors, and putting his family first. He had a quiet strength, a steady presence, and a warm smile that made people feel comfortable and welcome wherever he was. Dad had an infectious smile. So many people have told us how they will always remember his smile. He loved the outdoors. He found joy and peace in hunting, fishing, and gardening. And anyone who spent time with him knows how alive he felt in nature. He also loved picking blueberries and wild mushrooms, happily bringing nature's treats home to share. Moose hunting was his passion, among many others. And the stories from those trips could fill a lifetime. Some of Dad's best hunting buddies over the years were Jeep Ennis, Alec Cameron, and Bill Camaros. And later, that circle grew to include Paul Morris, Dave Sahariak, Andy Pilata, his nephews Archie and Brent, and of course a number of his sons. His hunting bond with his friends and family was as strong as anything, built on trust, stories, many stories, laughter, and countless miles together in the bush. One thing that stands out to this day is how my wife Michelle and I loved listening when Dad would call from the cottage to share a day of hunting. He sounded like a 13 or 14-year-old boy, full of excitement, telling us how he harvested another deer as if it was the first time ever. Every single time, with every single detail. Dad, he was an extraordinary, hardworking man. He worked on the hydroelectric dams in Manitoba in his younger years, and later settled into his career at Shell Refinery as a pipe fitter. Whatever the job, he gave his best, without complaint, and set an example of perseverance and pride in your work. After meeting for the first time at a hockey game, Stan and Irene were married for 71 years. A love story built on faith, commitment, respect, trust, and partnership. Together, they raised 5 boys, and he devoted his life to providing for them and shaping them into strong, capable men. One very notable thing about our dad, he could build anything he put his mind to, truly anything. A camper for the truck, 2 moose camps, a snowmobile, a duplex, a home on Wenzel Street with 5 acres to raise his family on, an incredible home with a full upstairs playroom where we boys could burn off some energy. And every summer, he even put up an above-ground swimming pool for us. And we used it all the time when we were kids. Dad didn't just build things, he rebuilt them. He enjoyed repairing and restoring autopack cars, giving them new life for many of our family members. He even built things most people would never even imagine building. A skate sharpener, a haystacker, an ice fishing shack, and greenhouses. Well, a few greenhouses over the years. If it needed to be made, Stan made it. He also built a beautiful retirement cabin in Lactabani on the Pinawa Channel, a place filled with family, joy, crib games, fish fries, and the peace of the outdoors he loved so much. He also loved sports and poured that love into coaching. In his younger years, and as a father, he spent countless hours at the rink coaching hockey. And at one point, he even coached my brother Roger, my brother Norman, and me all on the same team. In later years, he loved watching the grandchildren play sports just as much as he enjoyed his coaching years, cheering them on, proud of every shift, every inning, and every effort. At this time, I'd like to ask a few special groups to stand so we can see just how many lives Dad touched. Please, look around the room and see the legacy of his love. Firstly, would all the grandchildren of Stan and Irene please stand? Now the great-grandchildren. My brothers and my mother. Then all of our extended family members. Extended family members. And now all of Dad's friends and parish community members. This is the legacy of one life lived with love, faith, and generosity. Thank you. You may all be seated. He also believed in building strength the old-fashioned way. He convinced us to pitch hay bales in the summer so we'd be stronger for hockey season. And he somehow made even that hard work into memories we now treasure to this day. Stan was incredibly resourceful. Each year, with my mom, they raised 125 chickens, 3 pigs, and 2 beef cattle, and planted a huge garden to feed our family. And in true Stan fashion, the grandchildren were invited into the real farm work too. He taught them, just as he taught us, how to eviscerate chickens. It might not have been every grandchild's favorite job, but it came with laughter, storytelling, and learning. And it is a memory none of them will ever forget. He also harvested a deer or two every single year, and more often than not brought home a moose after 2 weeks of hunting each December. He also loved playing crib. You could often hear the familiar calls of 15-2, 15-4 around the kitchen table at home, at the cottage, or at moose or deer camp. Those games were filled with chuckles, competition, and togetherness, just like life with him. Some of Dad's nicknames also tell you how people saw him. He was called Big Bear, a name lovingly given to him by Gordon Paulson. And he was also known as Stosh, or Uncle Stosho, a nickname given to him by his nephews Brent and Alan. And of course, there were the famous Dauphin River fishing trips. Every year, he took us out of school during the last week of classes to go fishing, on the condition we had good grades and good marks. That rule wasn't always strictly upheld, as we never missed a trip. One of Dad's best fishing friends was Gordon Paulson. He also joined us in Dauphin River, and he was an all-around great friend to my dad. Another amazing outdoor adventure was portaging into George Lake to fish for lake trout, a trip that combined hard work, smiles, and the kind of wilderness Dad loved most. Those trips were non-negotiable family time. Stan lived a full life, one of faith, family, friendship, hard work, and adventure. He taught us that you don't measure a man by what he owns, but by what he builds, who he loves, and how he shows up for others. We will miss his stories, his laughter, his smile, his resolve, his wisdom, and his presence. But we are endlessly grateful for the years we had, the values he instilled, and the love he left behind in all of us. His legacy is not just in what he built with his hands. It is the family he built with his heart, and in the faith-filled life he lived, walking daily in God's presence. Thank you, Stan, husband, dad, grandpa, great-grandpa, uncle, and friend for everything. We love you.